In this video, we will go over some of the basics on how to use an ADJ512 channel DMX controller to program a chase sequence out of scenes from the Casa CTL-BM laser light. This is the front of the laser where the actual red and green laser diodes are projected, and you wouldn't want to get your eye in that. This is the back side. This is where all the action happens. On the left, you can see we have the DMX import and output and the dip switch function settings. We'll talk more about that in a second. But right in the middle, we have a fan, which is used for cooling, a mic, sensitivity knob, power switch, and power cable. The dip switch function setting controls are basically addresses for the DMX controller to send the programs to, and since this is our one and only light, we will only have dip switch 1 on and the rest off. Here we have the back side of the laser light where we'll plug the DMX cable into the import and run all the way to the back of the control board. We also have a power cable, a USB import, and a MIDI import, which are mainly used for computer software. But let's get to the basics of the actual DMX control board. Here on the left side of the control board we have light fixtures 1 through 12. For this specific control board, this programming lesson, we will only be using one light, and we can select that one light by pressing the number 1 button. And a green light indication will come up to let you know that you've selected it. And you can select as many lights as you want for this scene. In this case, we'll only be using one. In the center, we have the control sliders, which control the different function of the light, say pattern, shape, like a star, or the color, left or right movement. And there are 1 through 8 different control sliders which control different things. Above that, we have the scenes 1 through 8, which we will program in a second. To the right, we have a digital display which shows the chase that's not currently selected, scene number 1, and bank number 1. And then you have a bank control which you can use to scroll through the banks that you want to store all your scenes in. Right below the digital indication are control sliders for the speed time and fade time in which the scenes will progress. Once we program the scenes, will be stored in chases 1 through 6. And you can black out your lights using the blackout button. We have a program button, MIDI record button, auto button, and an audio button which you can set your chases to run to. Now let's get to actually programming the lights. When you want to start programming your light, you're going to start by selecting it. So you're going to, in this case, we're going to press light number 1, fixture number 1. After that, we can move over to control sliders and start playing around to see what your scene is going to look like. Slider number 1 sets the laser into control mode or random active mode. Control slider number 2 can change the pattern of the laser. We can see a zigzag line, a star, and other shapes. Now, control slider number 3 moves the laser light to the left, or back to the right, or down, or back up again. Control slider number 4 changes the laser's rotation. Control slider number 5 and 6 don't seem to be doing anything, but control slider number 7 changes the color to green or red. In this case, we'll probably have green and red. Now let's get to actually programming our scenes. To start the actual program mode in which it'll save to the control board, you just hold down the program button. Make sure your light is selected. Sometimes you have to deselect it and select it again. You'll hold down program until a little dot comes up, and we'll be programming in bank number 1. So let's say we want to set our scene to be, scene number 1 to be a star. So we'll come over here, press MIDI record, and then we'll press scene number 1. And it'll all, bingo, flash, and that shows that now the star is in scene number 1. Now to start over, you slide all your sliders down, deselect the light, select it again. We're still in program mode. We're going to program scene number 2. And scene number 2, let's see, I'm getting it into program mode out of sound or random mode. And we're going to scroll through on control slider number 2 until we see, that looks pretty good. Let's hit MIDI record, hit scene number 2. It'll all flash, and now we have set that shape into scene number 2. And you'll keep doing this process for each scene all the way up until scene number 8. Now that we've programmed each scene to have its own individual pattern, we want to take all the scenes and copy them into chase number 1. So we're going to hold program mode. We are going to make sure we're in the right bank number 1. Select the chase number 1, and that'll pop up. You want to press bank copy, and then you want to hit MIDI record, and that should flash. And now scenes 1 through 8 have been copied into chase 1 in that order. And we'll take it out of program mode. Blackout will come on, press blackout, the laser light shines again. When we hit chase 1, it starts, baby. Now there are some options for running your chase sequences. You can either have audio mode on, and we'll see the star appears first, and then when you snap, it'll change. It's kind of slow, but it picks up the sound and changes through the scenes. Back to the beginning. Now the speed and fade time can be changed from 0 or 0.5 seconds for the speed that it'll run through, which is really fast. You can move it down, make it slower, let's say about 8 seconds, and you can move the fade time down, which this won't really have a fade because it's a laser, and as you can see that's kind of glitching with it, but as you can see it's progressing through the scenes a little bit slower than what we had. On auto mode you can use these control sliders. Well, that's the basics for how to program your first chase sequence using a Casa CTL-BM laser light. I hope this video helps. Thank you.